Welcome to Two Fat Buds, the podcast where two seasoned connoisseurs with more years under their belt than most strains have in THC percentage gather to share their musings on weed and life. Meet your host, two old souls unapologetically embracing the art of getting high and the wisdom that comes along with it. The disclaimer: the comments made on this podcast are the sole product of these two well-aged minds and do not necessarily represent the views of any guest or affiliates. So grab your favorite strain, kick back, and join these two old buds as they embark on a journey of rambling about everything and nothing, all at once. It's a potpourri of laughter, contemplation, and ideas that only come from a lifetime of toking. Welcome to Two Fat Buds, where the green conversation meets the golden years.
Welcome to Two Fat Buds. My name is Leigh Hacker, along with
Skunkle Al.
What is going on, Skunkle Al?
Oh, not much this week, man. It's been quite slow. The wife was sick the end of last week and through the weekend, and I'm just trying not to get it.
Oh, I hope you don't. I really do. I hope you don't. What's going on, Mike Usnick? Welcome in. Yep, we got a special guest tonight. Looks like he's running a few minutes late. I'm sure as soon as he figures out how to get in through the StreamYard, he'll be in.
Yeah, he'll be in.
He messaged me, said, "Oh shit, man, I'm just waking up. Give me a few minutes, I'll be there." So I'm sure he will be. But I'm excited about our guest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about him too much until he shows up. But yeah.
Hey, Heather.
What's going on, Heather? Man, oh man, what a week
Oh, yeah?
it has been.
You've been busy, brother.
Been busy, busier than what I want to be. I ain't gonna lie.
I hear you. Welcome, Stoner Granny.
Nora's in the house.
Oh,
What is
so
going on, Nora?
what kept you busy all week?
Radio station, man. The radio station.
I hear you.
I'm doing 3 shows a day. 2 in the morning and 2 hours in the morning and 2 different 2-hour shows. Hang on for 1 second. Guess is messaging me. And yeah, so doing
You've been
that
busier than a two-pecker goaten.
something like that.
I hear
You motherfucker.
you. What'd he do?
Our guest just showed up. Motherfucker. So without further ado, let me introduce Jake Dill to everybody.
No,
What
I'm sorry.
is going on, Jake?
My name is Leigh is fat.
Yeah, I see that, you fuck. If this is anybody else, me and you'd be having fucking issues. For those of you who don't know, this is a very, very, very good friend of mine, Jake Dill. He is a stand-up comic, a award-winning artist, a radio personality on K-Rock in LA.
Yeah.
Let's see, and the handler of the world-famous dog, KIBBY.
Oh, yeah.
KIBBY! Tell you what, that dog is more famous than Jake is. That dog's met more celebrities than I can imagine in my lifetime meeting.
She's very popular. She opened some doors for sure.
That's awesome.
You know, if you go to Jake's if you go to Jake's Instagram, which is just Jake Dill on Instagram, but here it's at the bottom of the screen right now. And you look at some of the photos. I'm very envious because KIBBY got to meet Cheech.
Dude, that was a big one for me too. That's like the most iconic or legendary person that I think I've met, especially because I told him like I've had all their tapes since like 6th grade.
Mhm.
So that was a real big deal for me. And it's so funny. We have this kid who's on the show. He does like video blogs for us and answers the phones. And he was like, Cheech has records? And we're like, yeah. He's like, oh, I just know him as the lowrider in Cars. I'm like, you fucking shithead.
Oh, Jesus. Gmo Nelly.
Yeah.
Young kids, man. Young kids.
Yeah, man. It's wild working with like a 25-year-old.
That's great.
So what is going on in Jake Dill's world, man?
Nothing. Just moved to the new place. This is the new backyard area, and that's been going on since January 1st. And just doing the show. Show's doing great. We got ratings yesterday. We're number 1 in LA.
Oh, it's awesome.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal, and so we're hoping that
that's huge, dude.
Yep.
That is huge.
Even though we're on the radio, we're getting recognized more and more when we're out and about in the city, and yeah, it's a good time. Days fly by, weeks fly by, and yeah, that's all I can say right now.
I get it. Welcome in, everybody. We had a couple people in the chat that are watching live on Facebook and YouTube saying hello to you and saying hello to us. So welcome in, everyone. Let's see. Me and Jake. I've known Jake. Fuck, man. When was you in college?
I'm sorry.
What? How long ago was you in college? Because you were in college when you used to come to Wayne's.
Yeah, it's been 20 years. I was at UW from 99 to 2003. So
about 2000, 2001, I think is when we met.
Probably.
That's when I started working down at Wayne's. The dive bar of Puyallup.
Good old Wayne's, man. Some stories at Wayne's.
Some stories. Quite a few for me.
Yeah.
And then let's see, Jake used to do comedy shows up in Seattle. Mm-hmm. He used to do a lot of the comedy shows up at the Underground.
I think Underground and Giggles when it was still around back in the day. But yeah, Underground's where I did my first shows. Underground's my favorite. Underground's where I went when I would come back home and do shows a lot. If it wasn't Wayne's, of course. Yeah, I don't do stand-up as much anymore, but I think I started doing it. I did like a show for the first time like in 2 years, a couple months back. I think I got a show next weekend. So I think a lot of my creative energy now just goes to the show. That's kind of what I do there. I'm like fourth mic, and I feel like I'm like an audio sniper. I just wait to, say stupid shit like Leigh is fat. And yeah, I'm good at it, so it works out. But like I said, but also like a lot of my creative energy goes to that. Like last night, I had to go up to these dispensaries and try to ask potheads how they would fix the potholes in Los Angeles, and so that that takes energy. It worked out okay. Everybody was happy with the audio this morning, but last night I did not want to leave the house. I was like, fuck. Yeah, and the same with like the show coming up. I don't even know if I got a specific date or time. I'm gonna follow up, of course, but part of me is like, you don't have to go. It's not like you're just like you have to, but I probably will.
Gotcha. What was the best response you got about fixing the potholes?
Oh, so yeah, we're like, what should we do? And this, I would have to play it for you, but there's one lady who called herself a sativa diva. Said that
Diva.
can we just put peanut butter in it? This other girl said clay, and I said, even though it's raining, you think clay? And she's like, oh yeah, because it won't. Okay, what about like a thin piece of wood? I'm like, you think that would hold the weight of a car? No. Okay, so like a thicker piece of wood, and then we hold the ends down with clay. I'm like, okay. But I mean, you have to hear it. Hearing it's better than me saying it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I get it. Because they're all stoned and talking the way they do and stuff. Makes sense. Makes sense.
But yeah, that's kind of another thing I do there on the show is I sit in I have like my little, we call it the nerd hole, and I have it like just covered in like dope posters and black lights and lava lamps and shit, and then I have a mic where I can like kind of chime in whenever I want, and the whole time the show's going on, I build the podcast. And then before I leave, I put that podcast up. I pull all the drops we need, all the things that were said on the show that we could use for later, like little clips. And then I go out and get audio during the week and during the weekend for the show.
Mm-hmm. That's
cool.
So
if you guys want to check it out, it is Klein Alley Show on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. Except if you get your podcast at the iHeart Radio app, because they're our main competitors and they fired me, so fuck them.
Fuck iHeart Radio. Yeah, no, I usually get my podcast off of YouTube or off Spotify. It's usually where I go to get mine. That's where we're also streaming from.
I think we're on Spotify. I don't think we're on YouTube. Because you watch like video podcasts.
Yeah.
That's something that we've talked about, and it's around the corner, and we're still figuring out the logistics of getting the cameras and building it, because it has, if it's live, it's the thing is, like, we can't have songs play on YouTube, right? So what will we have? Because half the hour is songs, like quite literally, and commercials, and the other half is us. It's quite literally almost exactly 50-50. It's like 29 minutes an hour, 30 minutes an hour, 31, 32 minutes an hour of us.
Yeah.
And then the rest is music and songs. So I feel like we're figuring out how to do that live on YouTube. But that's still being figured out.
You would definitely need someone to run the video for you that can separate the video and the audio and kill the audio. Mute the studio.
Yeah.
All that's going on, and have you guys, rustling your papers, still be on a video, talking amongst yourselves, but that audio would not go across.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, the audio. Well, yeah. I don't know. I was gonna say they could turn down the audio all the way, like in the studio, so you don't hear the song. Just as long as you don't get the on-air feed or the on-air mics. Well, never mind. I'm thinking too much right now. Like I said, but then again, the mics won't be on because they won't be on air. I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I don't get paid to think about that, so I don't give a shit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's see. You did a couple years back. You did. You were trying to record an hour's worth of comedy in 5 shows.
Yeah, that was really hard.
Was 1 hour and 5 shows or something like that.
Yeah.
How did that work out for you?
It was super hard. That was back when I was doing radio at night. So the reason that it was 5 shows was because, Monday through Friday I'm on air every night, so I can't go out and do comedy. And yeah, it was super, super difficult because you would do a show. I would do like one show and like, okay, make some progress. Like the first show was like 20, 25 minutes. And then I do this a second show like a week later and build on it. And then, a couple months would go by and you almost had to start over, really. I had the audio from it. I had notes, but you got to kind of relearn the whole thing because after a couple months, you forget a bunch and you have to write a bunch more. Like each time I did it, it was like a month of prep every night, going over stuff, writing stuff. And then I forget what we topped out at, like 48 minutes, 50 minutes, something like that. And so didn't quite make it, but I think it was a noble effort, and I can watch it now, and I don't completely hate it. So it was yeah, it was
That's a good thing.
yeah, it was a thing we did, and thanks to the help of people who helped me shoot it and put the video up. And but yeah, it was super hard, and it was super hard. I was like, and when I was done, I'm like, I'm done with comedy for a year, and that was in 2019, and then the pandemic hit, and then everybody was done with comedy for a year. I was like, oh sweet. Um, so yeah, I didn't do comedy for close to 2 years after that, and then it was like 2 years ago, I did a show in Seattle, and that almost blew up my family.
Oh shit!
Yeah, my folks and my sister all came. It was my first time my folks had seen me in years, and my sister came. And even though I asked for permission to do a joke about my brother-in-law's suicide, once my sister heard it, she didn't like it, and and left, and really upset everybody. And we were all staying at my sister's house. So
Oh my!
so my friend drove me back, and then the next day my other friend who lives in like right in the middle of Seattle picked me up, and I just spent the weekend at his house until things kind of cooled down. I mean, we're good now, but yeah, it sucked because I worked really hard on that one. That was a full hour again, like 2 years, not a show. Did a full hour, solid set. Was very happy with it. Came back to the table. My mom's in tears. My dad's pissed. My sister's gone. It fucking sucked so bad. After they go, like, hey, that was solid. My mom goes, besides that part, that was the best I ever saw you. I was like, shit. It's like, fucking Christ, man.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit. That's rough.
Yeah, it was rough. And then yeah, that was been 2 years ago, and I did a set thing, I think for the first time in November, but that's just like 10 minutes. So it was a little nerve-wracking getting ready for it, but because I was used to like, preparing for an hour, and 10 minutes goes by like nothing. So it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Al, I feel like I'm controlling the whole conversation. Is there anything you want to ask Jake or talk to Jake about?
Fuck yeah, I'd love to.
I'm sorry. I forgot you were there.
No, it's yeah, I'm just a tiny fella. You can hardly see me. But anyhow, your dog.
Uh-huh.
Was that an intentional type thing, or did it happen accidentally and you just ran with it?
Sort of. I mean, it was intentional that I got a dog. It wasn't like I just all of a sudden had a dog like at my doorstep.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's a rescue, right? So
okay.
And I had a theory. When I lived with my ex, she had 2 dogs that I got pretty attached to. So when she moved out, that sounds like, every time I go to the fridge and make a sandwich, I didn't have a dog asking for deli meat. I'm like, this is bullshit, man. I need a dog. And I had a theory, because she had one just like this, about getting like a small female dog that was just old enough to have puppies, but it's just now getting spayed.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is like a good combination for a chill dog. And that's really just all I wanted, was a dog like that last dog that you could just take everywhere, right? But you don't know. And I had some like, and it was, it was a coin flip. I was kind of 50-50 about it, because it's a big thing and you don't know what kind of dog you're going to get. Yeah. And I had appointments to see dogs and stuff. And then like the day of the appointment, like they call me and say like, oh, she got adopted. I was like, hey, totally fine. Ain't trying to press it.
Yep.
And then I got the wild hair like 1 week, I think on Monday, and I searched, and I'm like in Los Angeles, and I'm searching, and I found this website, and it's like an hour away in Corona, and but I wasn't looking at where it was, and I saw her picture, and I'm like, oh, this is a cute one, whatever. And I saved the thumbnail, and I already had the name ready, and I named the thumbnail KIBBY, and I felt like it was fit, and I went down on a Wednesday. It worked out perfect because our co-host Allie was having a baby, so we were actually off Thursday, Friday that week. So I went down Wednesday after the show to see her. And I called Thursday to see how her surgeries went because she had like this big growth on her lip, and she was getting spayed. And then on Thursday they gave me an appointment to come pick her up first thing Friday morning. So I was there at 8:30. They open at 9.
Yeah. Picked
her up, and you still don't know? You're like, so you're gonna take her? I'm like, yeah, I did all this work already. I'm gonna take her. And I don't think I knew until we got in the car, and I had like a little bed set up for her in the passenger seat. I'm like, okay, here you go, little dog, and you can sit here. And then she just got up and walked across and sat in my lap instead. I'm like, oh, this is pretty dope. And
that's cool.
And then yeah, I had a bag. I put her in a bag I carry everywhere in this like little backpack situation. Yeah. And I put her in a bag that night and took her out and played Magic the Gathering at a tournament. And I have a picture. She just has her head laying on the play mat, just chilling out. And yeah, we spent literally the whole first year together. And yeah, she's the best. I won the dog lotto. I don't know who's luckier, me or her, but it works out.
That's awesome.
And yeah, that's all I want. I wanted a dog I was able to take everywhere, and that's exactly what I got. So sweet.
Cool. Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, she's a gorgeous dog.
Yeah, I can't believe someone gave her away. So I think maybe that lip thing had something to do with it. It was pretty gnarly.
Yeah. Well, they gave her up for you.
I guess so. It
was made in the works, man.
Yeah. So she's stoked about it. Whenever I grab that bag, she's ready to roll. So like I said, she follows me and she goes everywhere. So even when I came outside, it's like, let's roll, and came up and gets right at my lap. So it's nice. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I noticed on your Instagram, you're always wearing the little carrier. KIBBY's always in it, and like I've seen pictures where you're at concerts and she's wearing earmuffs and.
Yeah. Oh, dude, you know what I started doing? Just for the first time this last week, was wearing earplugs at shows. I bought like these high fidelity earplugs. I was getting these ads, and they're like, I don't know, $30-$40 on these ads, like on Instagram and shit. And I just started looking around, and I found like some that was like super high reviews on Amazon for $12 instead. And I ordered them, and they came like a little aluminum cylinder. And I used them for these Tool shows last week, and dude, they were sweet. They're sweet. I didn't feel like I missed anything. And yeah, I didn't have like that slight humming or ring in my ears after a show. So yeah, I'm at that age now. I was thinking about because what got me thinking about it. I met this guy. One of the things we do is, do you know the band on your shirt? So whenever I see people wearing band shirts, I'll go up to them and ask them, hey, can I talk to you for K-Rock? And I ask them this like simple questions about the Foo Fighters, like who's the lead singer? Name one song. Finish this lyric. Can you name one album? Shit like that. And this guy, he was wearing a Foo Fighters shirt, and he had tinnitus, which is like the disease where you've gone to too many shows and your ears are constantly ringing. You're partially deaf. And so I was like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, these hairs in your ear, they're like trees in a forest. They fall down, they're not growing back. And I was like, well, trees grow back. He's like, okay, but
wrong analogy, but maybe. Good try.
But I like, all right. And so I started thinking about it, and yeah, I bought them, and it works out, man. So here you go to the concert, and you're old shithead like us. Try earplugs.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't see myself doing too many more concerts in my life.
I don't see myself getting in too many pits anymore in my life. I think being in a mosh pit is a done deal for me, especially when I got kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want anyone squashing into the kids.
Yeah.
Okay, I got another one for you.
Okay.
Stand-up comic. I think I know the answer to this just from what is out there today. All you have to do is look at the headlines, but where do you get your where do you get your content from? You know, what
I steal it.
inspires
I
you?
watch other comedians and I rip off their shit word for word. I think it's
Shut
just
the
easier
fuck
that
up.
way. I mean, it comes from all sorts of places. I think now it's just like I don't know. It's tough. That's a tough question for me. I feel like back in the day, my whole set was like, "This is stupid because," and "I hate," were like the two main premises I always use.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but now it's just I don't know. Yeah, just life, things that I feel like could be a joke that just come from daily life, things that are relatable,
Yeah.
and like I'm working on bits about dogs now. Real edgy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, like, I can relate to dogs. I have 5 German shepherds here.
Mm.
And, you know, it really pisses you off whenever, you could have the worst enemy in the world and he will not look you in the eye while he's shitting on your living room carpet.
Oh yeah.
Like a dog can. And once that dog stares you down as he's shitting in that carpet, he's like, I own you, bitch.
Yeah, I'm lucky. She listens pretty good. and
Yeah.
I can't really fake it, but when she gets into something or is gonna do something like that, or there's been times where I've had to rescue her from getting nose to nose with a skunk.
Yeah.
I just have like a hay I lit out that kind of puts the fear of God into her, and she'll stop whatever she's doing right away. So yeah, I'm lucky again that she's a pretty good girl about that kind of stuff. I don't think what it is every time that she needs to do that, she kind of lets you know, right? She gets really fidgety. She lets you know, and gets out of bed because the only thing she likes more than napping is treats. So she's getting up and around. You're kind of like, what's up? What do you need? But yeah, she'll let you know. And then the other only time like she was shit in the house is like she would go and shit in the bathroom. So it's like, oh,
wow.
you're trying. Like
yeah,
this is where
really.
hey, this is where we shit. I
Right
can smell.
room.
Yeah, I can smell it.
Right
I guess,
room, wrong spot.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Maybe.
So are you still doing your drawings and stuff? Are you still practicing art as much?
I haven't done a lot of stuff that's like for real inked, like taking the time to really do it right and ink it. But every day we have we have a rundown sheet and I turn it over, and a lot of times I'm writing down notes for things we said. I'm marking down times of when things were said, so it's easier for me to go back and pull it. And then on that sheet of paper, there's a bunch of doodles, a bunch. And I was keeping them to give out by the end of the year to give out to listeners. And now at the new year, when I moved, I had so much stuff. Like I filled, like I was saying, I filled my office with posters and shit. So I don't have room for them anymore. So I throw them away every day, but I do doodle every day. And sometimes they're cool, sometimes they're not as cool. But
yeah.
I don't have, unless someone gives me a project and it's like, here's $1,000 to do this thing, then I don't have any kind of need or drive to do it.
Gotcha. Well, I'm happy to say I have an original Jake Dill drawing that he did for me many moons ago.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That was a fun one.
I was very
Yeah, and back in the day, that's kind of what I would. The only time I would really draw was when I, did a comedy poster for myself. And since I don't do that many shows anymore, or I don't do any headlining shows anymore, then I don't have that thing. I don't have that need
What's
to do
going
it.
on, everyone out in the audience? Thanks for tuning in. Check out what we're talking about tonight. We appreciate it. We're here with Jake Dill, stand-up comic, radio host, award-winning artist, handler of the world-famous KIBBY, the dog KIBBY. And we're
He's just
sitting here
hanging out, man.
Yeah, but that's not the artwork I'm talking about. I'm not talking about your posters. I've got a couple of your posters. I'm talking about the one you actually drew and had framed and sent to me and everything.
Yeah, the bonfire one.
The bonfire. That's right.
Yeah, that's good time, man. That's good times.
Stickity.
Yeah, this is the spot I'm in now is we haven't christened it yet with a fire, but we got this area here. I think we're gonna put a little pit in, and we'll get one going sometime soon. Maybe even this weekend. We'll see.
There you go.
Things are starting to dry out a little bit. LA has been, like the last couple of years, LA has been very wet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to get a new rain jacket. And
holy shit.
Yeah, it came today. Rain stopped yesterday.
You may notice in our comments here a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 campfire. That's something that we do whenever we're smoking, so that it gets everyone's attention and we smoke at the same time. So you never smoke alone again.
Oh, right on.
So if you don't mind, we're going to do a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 campfire.
Go get it.
Campfire.
Get it. I probably should have planned for this. That weed place I went to last night hooked me up with a whole thing of joints. And
nice.
And then I bought my favorite edibles. Have you ever heard of these edibles called Wild? Wild with a Y, with a Y, WYLD. They're really good. Those are because I usually if I go out or I'm doing weed, I'll eat half of one of those gummies. And I'll have a couple beers, whatever. I'm good. But yeah, they gave me a whole little jar of joints too, like half-gram joints. I was like, sick. Nice. Yeah, pre-rolls. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Pre-rolls are just so easy and convenient.
Yeah.
It's easier to smoke with a pre-roll than or with a joint than driving down the street with a bong in your lap.
Dude, that's or like I had a pipe in my car. I didn't have anything for a while. I went to this other show a while back and brought some flour and a pipe. Like after I parked, smoked before I went to the venue, and that was weed I got. Some guy just gave me a whole fucking plant in a pot. Jesus. I had to like let it dry. I had to cut it and let it dry out and trim it myself. And I had like the biggest bag of weed of it.
Oh wow!
And I still have it. Like I don't smoke that often. Like maybe once a weekend or whatever. But like I'm just gonna have it forever.
Do you openly talk about anything else that you do besides cannabis?
Oh yeah, are you trying to see if I'll talk about DMT
and shrooms
and LSD? Yeah, I'll talk about it. I have no problem talking about it. Changed my life.
Well, let's stick to the shrooms and the DMT. Let's stick with the all natural stuff. I was telling Al before you showed up that you were the first person that I ever did mushrooms with. And you introduced me to DMT.
Yeah. When did we do mushrooms together?
At Nick's.
Oh, you had that time I did 5 grams?
Yeah. Yeah, I did 2.5 or something with the lemon juice. And we were sitting outside, and I'm sitting there going, I ain't feeling shit. Nick wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there, just relaxed in the chair.
Yeah, and I think at one point I asked him if he could shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you did. You did. You literally turned around, looked at me and said, "Dude, trying to enjoy my trip. Could you shut the fuck up?"
Yeah, I've learned you gotta you have to either be with someone who's going through the same thing you are, because when that's happening, it's very hard to do more than just take in what you're being shown. And so when someone's just talking about a bunch of bullshit, and I love Nick, God bless his heart, this is I can't, man. Can we just enjoy this in silence? Because he has a beautiful side yard there, looking up in the trees and stuff.
Yep.
And yeah, but there's been times too. Well, me and Nick in particular, we did farm ayahuasca one time together, which is ayahuasca, and DMT is the active drug in ayahuasca, but it's ayahuasca without like the brew, right? So it's DMT, and like this catalyst isn't the right word, but it's whatever drug it is that lets you digest DMT in the system. Because if you just eat DMT by itself, nothing's going to happen. So I think it's called like Harmaline or something like that. And so you take a capsule of each. You take a capsule of, like, I think it's Harmaline first, and then 30 minutes later you take the dose of DMT, however big it is. And we had this thing planned, and I did it. I stuck to my plan, kind of fasted. I ate super, super light. I had just like a little bit of like yogurt and fruit in the morning, and then went to his house. We did the thing, and it was one of the hardest trips I ever went through. It was a thing, and his wasn't much of anything, because even though he meant to fast, instead of fasting, he had like 2 Jimmy Dean sausages for breakfast. Like, what the fuck are you doing, you fucking shithead? I was hungry.
That's not fasting.
Yeah,
that is not fasting at all.
Yeah, what? So he didn't get as much out of it as I did, but that was a real tough one. But yeah, DMT itself changed my life. Yeah, it took me a little bit. I just actually gave directions to someone about doing DMT, because it's important to know that smoking DMT and breaking through on DMT are 2 very different things. And you'll know when you break through, for sure. But smoking DMT, it's just you'll see some things. It'll be a little wee, and it's funny. It'll last for 10-20 minutes or whatever. But yeah, breaking through on DMT changed my life, changed perspective, and yeah, I'm thankful for it.
Same here, man. I mean, I honestly think that, the first time I smoked DMT, I didn't break through. I got the visuals, was on the porch. I don't know if you remember, but we were waiting on Nick's daughter to come home, and I saw her walk up the hill, and I didn't want to scare her, and it kind of snapped me out of what I was heading to. But when I smoked in the bedroom and actually laid back and broke through, I think that was the night, and the visuals that I had, and the whole conversation I had with the entity and stuff. I think that was when I realized how much of an asshole I really was. And I've tried to change who I was to who I am now. More of a loving, caring person.
Yeah.
Because back then, dude, I was a dick.
I was a fucking asshole. It will, it's nothing to be trifled with, especially if you're not ready to, see what it has to show you. I've seen people really try to fight it, and they have a bad time. You gotta just go with the flow, and don't try to swim upstream, right? And just go with it. And it's the thing. It's like mental cliff jumping for sure, and it's very scary. It's very scary to be detached from your body and be in hyperspace and be in a place where time doesn't exist. But yeah, to get a peek behind the curtain is a special thing, and yeah, it changed my life. I was just like, when I came back after the first time I broke through, I went crazy. I jumped up and ran around. I did a lap around the house, hooping and hollering. And I realized later it's because I was no longer afraid of death.
Nice.
Which is kind of a big deal sometimes. If you were trying, if you had to get wasted before you got on a plane each time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a big deal, life-changing moment. And that's been almost 10 years now. I was looking back at it this summer would be 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that happened. So
Yeah, it was about look at it, it was about 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago for me.
yeah. Time flies by, man. I can't believe 10 years. 10 years. And now really I only do one big psychedelic trip a year. It's usually the last few years it's been in springtime. Like last year, a buddy of mine, we went and got an Airbnb in Joshua Tree and did we had a day where we smoked DMT. Well, I smoked DMT. He bitched out. He got too scared. And then the next day we did LSD together. And that was good. The year before that, I did mushrooms. I did there's a strain of mushrooms called apes, albino penis envy is what they're called, and they're like twice as potent as kabinzas. And I took like 3 grams of that, and that was like one of the best mushroom trips ever. And I gotta tell you, there's something about taking mushrooms with a dog. It's pretty dope. It's pretty fucking sick.
Leigh and I last summer did 9.5 grams.
Oh, right on.
Each.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was my first trip, and I'll tell you what, it was an awesome trip.
Yeah, I'm surprised how many people who are interested in mushrooms or take mushrooms on a semi-regular basis don't know who Terrence McKenna is, but he's like the godfather. 1,000 talks about whatever, but his whole thing was to do mushrooms in setting. So with a specific mindset and in the right setting, you don't want to, do mushrooms and go out to a fucking Slayer concert or whatever. You know what I mean? He said to do it in silent darkness. I don't think it has to be darkness.
No.
Actually, in fact, I prefer the light over the dark. I just say someplace chill where you can be warm. I tend to get very cold on psychedelics for some reason. But yeah, I do it. I still do it once a year. I kind of pick my poison. Acid is, like you said, kind of you had to get it from a reputable source because it is made in a lab, and sometimes it's not acid. It's just like acid adjacent, which is not as good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but yeah, I still think it's good to hit reset every year.
Dude, there for a while, I was microdosing with mushrooms, and it was penis envy that I was using.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, was working really good. Like, I could take a 0.5 gram a day and totally be off my psych meds 100% while I was doing that.
Right on. I have mixed feelings about it, because like there's that quote that's like microdosing back in my day that was called not doing enough. And Terrence McKenna has this quote that I love, which is for God's sakes, no one abuses these drugs. The only way to abuse these drugs is to take pissant amounts, which I just think is funny. But it's if microdosing helps you in that way, if you're using it for a medicinal purpose, I could get down with that. I'm not down with people who do that and then go out to shows. I know some people in particular who that's like their thing. They're like all woo woo shamanic whatever bullshit, and then they don't do the work. They're not interested in like reflection or anything. They just want to fucking party, and good on you. But that's exactly how you abuse those drugs. You don't take enough.
Yeah, I get it.
Hey, Jake, one of our listeners, Stoner Granny, has a question for you. She wanted to know if you had ever met the comic that stutters with the dog. He was on America's Got Talent.
Is it that Drew guy? I didn't know he had a dog. I know a guy who has a stutter, because my buddy Justin is his opener, but I don't remember him having a dog.
Okay.
And regardless, I don't think I've met him. But there's a guy who was like, on America's Got Talent, has a really bad stutter.
Yeah.
I don't remember having a dog though. He has a dog? I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't ring a comic with the dog.
Yeah, she said,
She
yes,
said that's
that's him.
That feels like one too many gimmicks. I got a stutter and a dog. Like, fucking pick one, man.
Yeah, really.
And that's the other thing. I actually haven't done stand-up with KIBBY yet. Both times I've done it, she's just been sitting in my girlfriend's lap when I'm on stage. So I haven't had to address it really. But the day's coming where I'll be by myself and she'll either be on my front or my back and I'll have to say something. But I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Who was your influence growing up that made you want to get into comedy?
My stand-up influences growing up, I loved Eddie Murphy and Sam Kinison. Were my favorites. I think really what it was like in my family, I felt like early on I realized that being funny was a good way to get attention, and so I guess it was a good thing to try to get good at. But like early on, I like the first guy I saw who I was like, that guy's funny, was Robin Williams. You know what? I think Robin Williams on Johnny Carson was like the funniest thing ever. And then stand-up wise, when I was adolescent, way before I even dreamed about doing stand-up, it was Eddie Murphy and Sam Kinison. Or my jam.
Yeah, Sam Kinison was great, and Robin Williams, R.I.P. Robin Williams, man, I think one of the best comedians ever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Robin
Williams,
like, George Carlin.
Yeah, I got into George Carlin way later. I got into Bill Hicks way later. I didn't even know who Bill Hicks was until after I started doing stand-up for like 6 months. But yeah, Carlin. I mean, and then of course, like back in the day, I also like listened to Pryor. Richard Pryor almost killed my dad.
Really?
I had like his video, one of his specials, and my dad started laughing so hard he passed out for like a couple seconds.
Oh no!
It scared the shit out of my mom. It was hilarious.
It's great. That's great to hear, though. Who is the biggest name you would say that you've been on stage with? It, you know, like you went to a comedy show, you got to be an opener, and they were the closer. Who was probably the biggest name?
Dave Chappelle.
Chappelle.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle at the Laugh Factory. Who else? In LA, it's super easy to say that, right? Because sometimes shows will be 2 hours and you're like second, and so it's almost like a whole different show by that time that guy goes on. Because it's not like if you went to go see a show in whatever town you're in, where you'll have a MC, you'll have a feature, and a headliner. In that case, like there's some names that became way bigger than they were back in the day that you would feature for just because they needed a local feature and you were lucky enough to get picked when they're in town. But in LA, I mean, if you do any kind of set at the main room in the Comedy Store or Laugh Factory or wherever, it's super easy for you to be on the same bill as Patton Oswalt or Dave Chappelle or any biggest name you want, because they could just drop in at any second. And you're like, oh, I was on the same show as Rogan or whatever. So it's not like we were hanging out or anything,
Yeah. Well, who's the biggest name you've hung out with after the show? And like, if I ran into them, I'd be able to say, hey, have you ever met Jake Dill out in LA? They'd be like, oh yeah, me and Jake hung out.
Fucking no one. No one would remember who my no one would remember my name. Have I hung out with people in green rooms and like talk shit and like joked around? Sure. But if you went up to Patton Oswalt and be like, yeah, Jake Dill, you'd be like, yeah, no, I do not. I very much do not know Jake Dill.
I very much do not know Jake Dill.
But then I'd be like, yo, ask if he knows Derek, because he's his opener. And Derek Sheen, don't you? Derek Sheen always did my shows a lot when I was in Seattle. Derek is Patton's opener, and
wow,
Patton actually tells a story about Derek that involves Derek in one of his specials. So it's kind of wild to know people like that. You know who I run into on my mountain sometimes is Mark Maron. Mark Maron hikes my mountain and has posted videos of my rock on his Instagram.
Nice.
So that's nice. He still doesn't know who I am though. I waved at him a couple times. I said hi. My other friend Ryan is his opener. I know a lot of openers. That's my level.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's great.
But
what's your favorite skit that you've ever done for the radio show? Not so much skit, but like interview and street. You know, I know you do a lot of interviews on the street.
yeah,
What's been your favorite one to run with?
It's hard to say. I'll just go with the latest one that everybody loved. It was like, that's like the best audio you ever brought. Was about a month ago. We did this thing where, I just redid The Office, like I said, and it's just like littered with dope shit that I think. And, it's all trippies, a bunch of, band posters and horror movie posters and black lights, lava lamps, crystals, rocks, dead things, vintage toys. It's next level. And they think it's all junk. So the premise was, let me take some of this stuff and see if I can't sell it at a pawn shop. And so that's what I did. I went out to 2 pawn shops. One was pretty close to the station, and then that audio was fine. The audio was, I could have used it. And I'm like, well, let me try. There's one more place that was pretty close to my new house here, and I went to that place, and yeah, it was like the best audio ever. And I guess I'm the king at underselling it, because just like today with the pot shop stuff and with that, I'm like, yeah, it's decent. We could definitely use it. And they're like, this is the best shit you've ever brought in. So the pawn shop bit was probably the best. And we still play clips of, those people. I don't know about it on a daily basis, but definitely on a weekly basis, numerous times in a week, we reference that bit. So that was fun. But I feel like that kind of ran its course really quick. They had me go back again with a new, box of stuff. You kind of run out of shit pretty quick to take it to the pawn shop. But yeah, it was fun. And so far, like, sometimes I feel like kind of really anxious. Like I have like a social anxiety for sure. And especially going to like new places or whatever. And every place that I've been to in this neighborhood, same with the pot shop last night, super welcoming. Like I was just walking by that dispensary last night, and they're like, "Come in," and like, yeah, talk to me. I told them what I was doing there. Like, that sounds awesome. Here, have this free weed. Like, okay, cool.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So usually, like, a lot of times, like I was saying earlier, like I did not want to go out, but then once I get it done, I was like, okay, that was pretty productive. I'm glad I went out. So
nice.
yeah.
Nice. What who's been some of the biggest names that you've met on your radio show? I mean, I've seen you with Fluffy recently, or I've seen not you. I saw KIBBY with Fluffy.
Yeah, that's kind of my new thing now. Is if I can get a celebrity to hold Kibbs, which is a lot easier. I mean, I could take a picture with him too. It's no big deal. Like, I'm the one who fucking took the picture, right?
Yeah.
And he's in the studio. But there's not a lot of comedians or celebrities that I really care about. Cheech was one, obviously. He's like one of my heroes. But I'm just trying to get a collection of celebrities holding my dog, and celebrities seem like they're more keen on holding a dog than taking another picture with some other, radio shithead. And so, yeah, I feel like it's a lot easier to be like, can you take a picture with my dog? And then, I almost feel like they might be surprised, like, of course. And there's some celebrities that fucking love KIBBY. Gavin Rosdale fucking loved KIBBY. Hosier loves dogs, love KIBBY. Billy Corgan didn't want to hold her, so I took a picture of Billy Corgan. A lot of times, if you see me and it's a picture of me and the celebrity and KIBBY, it's because they didn't want to hold her by themselves for whatever reason. But yeah. So Cheech, Billy Corgan. God, who else do we have? Oh, I mean, early on, Danny Carey, the drummer for Tool. I'm trying to think about Kimmy's Instagram. Who else? I forget. There's all sorts. The KIBBY Kibbs on Instagram. You can see all the celebrities.
KIBBY Kibbs.
Oh, I know. Do you know? Are you familiar with the band Portugal the Man?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
Portugal the Man fucking loves KIBBY. Portugal the Man got me into their green room during our big Christmas show, and I hung out with them for, half hour or whatever. Yeah. So there's a picture of her and Portugal the Man. There's a picture of the three of us and Butch Vig. I think he's a drummer, right? He's a drummer and for Garbage, and then produced Nirvana's Nevermind.
Wow.
There's all sorts. You go check it out, people. I forget. I meet so many celebrities, I fucking forget. I'm a real Hollywood big shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that KIBBY has her own Instagram.
She does, with 500 followers. It's not a lot. I kind of neglect it unless there's a new photo to post. I don't really post anything. I don't do a daily KIBBY post. Maybe I should.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You should.
Yeah. Well,
just KIBBY out in LA. KIBBY in LA. KIBBY on the walk.
Yeah. KIBBY
meeting her fans.
KIBBY doing stuff. Yeah.
At KIBBY outside.
And like I said, but she opens doors for sure. So it's nice. Especially I like having her, especially when I go get audio. I feel like people are more willing to talk to a guy with a dog than not.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that makes
sense.
Especially
if their dog can. A lot of them. You have your cat people, and then you have your dog people. And dog people, of course, just congregate with each other, the same as cat people do. So kind of weird, but good.
Yeah. So how you doing, Leigh? Oh look! Good, it's time to go. Have a great time.
Yep.
Pretty much.
You show a picture of the dog. They want to know. Can you put KIBBY on camera? They want to see KIBBY.
All right, here, KIBBY.
There's KIBBY. She's such a sweetheart.
Ooh.
She's mellow as fuck, man, for a small dog.
Yeah.
Most small dogs are yappy, I've always found.
Yep.
She is very mellow.
Yeah, man. That's my speed. I like mellow.
Very well trained too.
Yep, I had nothing to do with it. Thank you. She's very mellow unless the doorbell rings, and then she'll let you know this is my house, motherfucker. Better watch out. There's a fucking badass dog in this house.
Nice. Might give you cash, not hitting your knee at all.
Yeah. Better watch. Don't fuck around here. Mean dog in here, motherfucker.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we got about a minute left. Is there anything you want to promote, Jake, while you're here? You got some shows coming up. Is there anything you want to promote while you're on here real quick?
Where are you guys based out of?
What do you mean, where are we based out of? I'm in Cincinnati, and Al's in Pennsylvania.
Oh,
yeah.
But we're on YouTube and we're on Facebook. And right now we're on our Facebook page with 20,000 followers. So
sweet. All you listeners that live 1,000 miles away, please come to Los Angeles for my show next weekend. In some guy's basement. It's going to be great. No, just listen to Klein Alley Show. You can find that on podcast. Klein Alley Show. Maybe don't use the periods when you search. You might fuck it up. But you can hear me on that. and at Jake Dill on Instagram. Give me a follow, and then via that you could follow KIBBY if you want. It's in my profile. Link to my stand-ups in the profile of my Instagram. But yeah, just check out the show. I think it's solid. I've for years now. I thought it was a solid show. I thought it's a funny show, and now the ratings reflect that most of Los Angeles feels the same way. So
that's great.
Klein Alley Show.
Congratulations on that.
Give us 3 shows. Listen to 3 shows, and then see what you think.
All righty. Well, Al, our hour is up, buddy.
It is, buddy. Another great show.
Hang out for a second when we end the show. I want to talk to you. So Al, we'll be back next week at 8 p.m. on Thursday. Doing another show. Don't know what we're going to be doing next week yet. We don't have anyone lined up, but we will definitely be here. Is there anything you want to say before we leave? Skunk Al.
Oh, no, just happy trails, everyone. Keep your powder dry.
There you go. Much love, everybody out there. Thanks for tuning in, listening to us, and watching us. And we'll be back next week. So from Two Fat Buds, we are out of here.
All right, love you, brother.